It's a remarkable to reflect in the past 2 days with a true sense of meaningful clarity and progress. We arrived here at Ula with a challenging agenda, والله, but we are leaving with much more valuable. We are leaving with shared sense of direction.
I agree. I could not agree more. It's been so inspiring watching the spirit of Diwan Ithlib in action. And just like the leaders that were in this valley 2,000 years ago, we moved beyond the surface, tackling the deep structural shifts that are reshaping our world.
Exactly. There is a great deal of hope and clarity we found here. By focusing into growth, prosperity, and stability, we are ensuring that emerging markets aren't just participating in the global market, but rather its architects.
Absolutely. Now, to bring our beautiful journey here in Al-Ula to its conclusion, Shams, we will now move on to the closing fireside chat on key takeaways and next steps. After 2 intensive days of dialogue and deep consultation, we now take a step back and we ask the questions. What are the definitive lessons to take home? What are the immediate steps required to turn these ideas into reality?
For that, please help me to join in the stage His Excellency, the Minister of Finance of Saudi Arabia, Mr. Mohammed Al-Jad'an, and Her Excellency, the Managing Director of the IMF, Dr. Kristalina Georgieva. This session will be moderated by Ms. Jumana Persecci. She's a TV anchor on Bloomberg. Please give a big round of applause to our host as they will give their final closing remark for Al-Ula Conference for Emerging Market Economies. Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellencies.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here. It's been a fantastic couple of days. Thank you to Your Excellency, Madam Managing Director. Really fruitful discussions. And this is an opportunity for us to reflect back on the last couple of days and our major takeaways from this beautiful event set in, of course, the landscape of Al-Ula, which itself is a perfection and beauty. So there have been so many conversations, obviously, and I've been privy to watch many of them, policymakers, central bank governors, finance ministers, academics presenting papers, really rich discussions around the opportunities, but also some of the challenges and the risks facing emerging market economies. Madam Managing Director, I'd like to start with you. From your perspective, why is this moment in time pivotal for EM economies? Why did you want to bring attention to what is happening right now with the EM landscape?
It is critical for emerging market economies for 2 reasons. The first is that the world is changing, and it is changing very rapidly. It is more multipolar world, one in which the forces of geopolitics, of technology, of demography, of climate, acting simultaneously are creating unusually high uncertainty, and uncertainty that is likely to be the new normal for all of us. So for emerging markets that are aspiring to bring better opportunities, higher standard of living of their people, it is very important to see through this uncertainty, and of course it is much better to do it together. And the second reason is, yes, emerging markets are a very diverse entity. Not all emerging markets are born equal. Some have natural resources, some have geographical location that is advantageous, some have, unfortunately, problems of high significance, like conflicts in the neighborhood or affecting them more fragility. So we have this very diverse world, yet there is one thing that is common. these are countries that are moving forward in a way that has more similarities than differences. What are the similarities? The aspirations to have sound macro policies as a foundation for growth, the ability to improve institutions that make these countries more resilient. And, you know, frankly, the fact that this is a world that sees itself as the carrier of higher opportunities for growth, more dynamism. And I think that being here together is so wonderful to listen to each other, not necessarily to agree on everything, but learn from each other and make this power of the emerging world so much more effective. And to be honest, I'm going to leave from here thinking, well, some of these economies have already emerged. The term emerging markets is becoming a bit obsolete for some of them. So to my colleagues at the IMF and my colleagues at the World Bank, put your thinking hats. We have to come up with new terminology.
Emerged economies. While you were speaking, I have a beautiful view of the Al Ula backdrop behind you, and there are lots of stars in the background. It's a wonderful place if you want to go stargazing. And to that effect, Your Excellency, you've always talked about your North Star, which is reforms, reforms, reforms. What has been your North Star of the event the last couple of days?
I thought you would ask me the easiest,
About
the easy
stargazing?
questions. Few things, I think, just to build on Her Excellency, the Managing Director's comments. First of all, I think the emerging economies and developing economies are not one block that are similar. They are very diverse and will need to be dealt with and be understood within that context. Second, I think it was very critical that we try and bring the emerging economies together around one table to have a more candid, practical discussion. And, you know, compared to last year, this year we also brought the academia with us, and I think this is actually a very important addition. And the idea is really to bring the stakeholders, the policymakers, academia, and international organization together to try and not only talk about, you know, theoretical issues, but actually real experiences, exchanging real experience of what worked, what didn't, and how can we move even to a better position. It is very critical, in my view, that emerging economies deal with their issues themselves rather than relying on a wider group of countries that largely dominated by large economies to tell them what they should do. And without being too impolitical, I would say a lot of advanced economies are now having a lot of economic troubles. Yeah. So it would be very difficult to bring them into the table and listen to them lecturing us. But still, they have a lot of value to be added, and we have a lot of advanced economies here. I think what basically, if I want to summarize this, is it's a place where you bring together those who matters for the prosperity of economies and the prosperity of people. And these are the decision makers or policy makers, international organizations, academia, that actually brings a lot of value compared to us just as the policymakers talking together.
In the prior session, I thought Gillian did a great job at recapping some of the themes of the conference the last couple of days. And if I could do just a recap of that recap, a lot of progress has been made, a lot of challenges are still there, there's no room for complacency, cooperation is important, and obviously technology, a theme that has come up as well. Managing Director, what would you say is the key message for policymakers and also for markets? And to reference His Excellency comments in the morning, markets can be brutal.
Well, the main message from the conference is that emerging market economies have made a lot of progress with hard work and wisdom. But they operate in a more complicated world. They need to navigate this world with very strong focus on defining priorities and then implementing the direction they choose to travel thoughtfully. So that is number one. A lot of progress has been made, but the world is more complex, and that requires policymakers to be very focused on understanding not only on their domestic considerations, but what is happening in the world around them. Two, very clearly, there will be more cooperation on bilateral and plurilateral level. Very clearly, a lot is going to be done within regions and across regions. And consciously building these bridges across countries, across regions, is going to matter a lot to have our world to be more cooperative, more stable. I find the energy in the sessions quite amazing. The consistency of lessons shared, impressive, but also the recognition that we are faced with tough choices to make every single day. Finance ministers in particular during good times. And I think my third message is that we are interconnected, we are interdependent. A lot of what we have heard is about this interconnectivity, the desire to build it even further, for AI to be a connector, not a divider. There is a wonderful Arab saying, which I recently started using a lot, that one hand doesn't clap. You need two hands for that. So we need each other. We need to cooperate. We need to build alliances to succeed, and this conference is a space to do that.
Well, Your Excellency, I also want to ask you about the national transformation plan that the kingdom has undergone. It's structural, difficult at times, but obviously imperative. Can you talk to our audience about how you've navigated some of the complexities and also the lessons that you've learned? Because obviously we're about 10 years into the vision now. We've got another 6 years to come. There has been an evolution of sorts.
No, thank you very much. And this context is actually very important. Few things, I think. One, we heard this yesterday and today. There is no good time to do the right thing. So you need to do it, and you need to do it now. Delaying is not going to help. Second is, you cannot really do a structural reform. You cannot fix your economy with easy decisions. You will have to make very tough decisions, and you will have to really communicate this very clearly to your people, to your business, to the international community, and then maintain the course, because you need to build that trust. You need to build the predictability in your policy direction to gain that trust from the investment community. And if you look at what we have done over the last 10 years, I think it's a lot of things have happened. And I do want really to repeat a lot of the good numbers that has been achieved. You know, more than 87% now of our initiatives are either completed or on track. 93% of the KPIs are either achieved or on track. A lot of the mega targets like unemployment, national or household ownership of their own houses have been achieved. But also, remember that we started this 10 years ago. And a lot could change during 10 years. And if you are rigid, if you just announce something and you will stick to it because that's what you announced, actually it is not going to be ending wisely. And we talked about wise or luck. We want to be wise. We want the luck, but also we don't want to depend on the luck. So we actually continuing that change, continuing looking at what should we prioritize, what should we stop, what should we restart, what should we expand. And we announced quite a lot, and we are in the process of even of announcing more in the coming weeks and months. The whole idea is stick to the North Star, which is diversifying your economy. That is where we wanted to reach. And the tools that you use can change depending on the circumstances. You know, when we started, AI was not really the talk of the streets.
Yeah.
But things have changed, so we needed to change our plans to make sure that we capture part of that value.
Managing Director, how do we turn the conversation into action? What concrete steps do we need to see out of EM economies?
Well, for the countries themselves, I think listening to each other gives more impetus of action at home. And when I listen to the discussion, I think that two areas of action stood up. One is the importance of governments to recognize their role is not to manage the economy directly. Their role is not to manage enterprises. Their role is to establish predictable rules for private sector to do its job. And that for private sector to flourish, this predictability of policy environment and the elimination of obstacles, cutting red tape. This is what is so important today. We have seen it over the last years that private sector agility helps us go through less predictable times. And that I see as a very important lesson for governments. If I were to be in the shoes of a policymaker, I go home and I do a regulatory house cleaning. Check what I have that I may not need anymore, and what I don't have that would enable business to flourish. I think the China's Minister of Finance made a very important point talking about the future for China, and it is the role of innovation. That if you want to be successful, you have to be one step ahead. So again, I would say, check where you are in terms of enabling conditions for AI to penetrate the economy, to be diffused in the economy, and then if you are behind, step forward. And the second practical lesson I take is actually for us, for the fund, for the bank. We have a tremendous responsibility in a more fragmented world to be a transmission line of good experience and a place where everybody, advanced economies, emerging markets, developing countries, they can come together. Protecting this ability of us to function as a global community, this is our job, and I can tell you after these 2 days, I take this responsibility to heart even more than before coming here. We owe you to have that space to work together to succeed.
And I would follow.
Let's build on that,
I
York
would
Cecilia.
follow on this very important, very important point. And a gathering like this actually would achieve that goal, is that we also need to make sure that our voice is very clear, our needs are very reasonably presented to the international community, particularly the IMF and the World Bank, but also other multilateral institutions. I think whinging, it's very easy to whinge and spend time saying that, you know, advanced economies are not giving us attention and international organizations are being controlled by the great powers. But actually, that is largely not true. If we presented our voice very clearly, our needs in a very pragmatic but also logical way, a session like this or 2 days like this actually helps a long way to bring in the World Bank, the IMF, and other organizations closer to what really the real needs of the emerging economies.
Yeah. So looking ahead, maybe just the last question to both of you that I'm going to ask, and building on this positive momentum, the prospects for success. What does success look like, Managing Director?
Well, what success looks like is each and every one of us to see progress in the world we live in. A peaceful world, a cooperative world, a world in which aspirations of people can be met, a world in which governments are the enabler of progress, not the constraint of it. So I know I'm speaking on this very high level, but actually this is what success is: to make lives of people better because of us working together, learning from each other, and applying this knowledge in practice. At the fund, we have a huge responsibility to keep a hand on the pulse of each and every economy, and then present to governments where they are, what they can do to perform better for their people, and then if they need financial support, come with it. If they need technical support, come with it. And I can tell you that I have seen so much good progress among our members over the last years, and sometimes I worry that we concentrate way too much on the problems and the shortcomings, and we do not give ourselves enough credit for what has been achieved. So to everybody here, feel good about yourself, because what you have done, as tough as it is for the betterment of people. So can I make a suggestion?
Of course.
Since I talk about this and this, give yourself a big round of applause.
Your Excellency, I'm going to give you the final words here, and just how we take this optimism forward.
I do want to take much time, but I wanted to thank everyone. I thank you, Managing Director, thank everyone for being here. It has been a fantastic 2 days. For me, very insightful. I learned a lot and connected a lot with a lot of you. I wanted to welcome a lot of those who are here for the first time, and I wanted just to single out almost a new country that is joining us today, Syria. Welcome, Your Excellency.
Yes.
And hopefully we'll see more of the emerging economies, and also those from the advanced economies that we wanted to make sure that they are part of this gathering.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Well, this rounds up our discussion. Thank you both so much for a fantastic couple of days. And I also don't need to remind everybody that we will be back here in 1 year's time. Who knows what themes we'll be talking about then, but it's been a true delight to be here and to moderate this closing discussion with the major themes we discussed. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you all for being here, and we are looking forward to seeing you next year.